Hello, viewers. Welcome back. With a recession just ahead of us, what better time than now to give you a look behind the curtain on how the rich get even richer when the economy is in shambles like it is currently. Welcome to this channel, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out. You've mentioned you wanted a shorter intro, so let's get started. Number 1. Government bailouts. You can be as irresponsible as you want with your business and push your leverage to the edge, because the moment you're about to fail, the government steps in and gives you free money just to keep things going. This might not sound fair, as the government doesn't step in when, as an individual, you're close to bankruptcy. But these companies are an important part of the economy. They hire thousands of people, which, if they were to fail, the government would have to deal with. This is what happened to banks in 2008 and will likely happen again with airlines this year. The rich have the ultimate safety net: the government. Number 2. Government bonds. Those who are not struggling are picking up government bonds left and right. A government bond is basically the government's way of borrowing money from businesses and individuals, with a pretty decent return and little to no risk. The rich pick up these bonds, and the government pays you interest. These are seen as very safe investments because unless the government collapses, you're getting your money and your interest. More economically developed countries use these financial instruments to regulate the market without the need to print new money and devalue the currency. Number 3. Dumping or shorting stock before it hits. There's a reason why the rich constantly have their eye on the market. They like to think 1, 2, 3 steps ahead of the curve and put themselves in the right position to make the most of what's about to happen. When the virus began spreading in China, many ultra-wealthy individuals took notice and began selling the stocks that were most likely to be affected by the virus, as well as shorting the market. Short sellers made over $50 billion during the coronavirus sell-off. Here are 2 examples of this being done right. Billionaire Bill Ackman, the CEO of Pershing Square Capital Management, turned $27 million into $2.6 billion by betting that the markets are going to crash due to coronavirus. That's what using leverage allows you to do. The second example is a lot shadier. Republicans Richard Burr, Kelly Loeffler, and James Inhofe, and Democrat Dianne Feinstein collectively offloaded up to $11 million in stock between late January and early February, weeks before the public was given access to the same information. Number 4. Buying stocks at the bottom. When the world goes into a frenzy and starts panicking, that's when the rich commonly go out shopping. But instead of stocking up on toilet paper, they're buying shares into some of the biggest companies in the world at a discount. Basically, a recession is Black Friday for rich people. This is one of those things. We took advantage of ourselves during the downturn, and our portfolio has provided over 40% returns. If you click on the top right corner, you can see which stocks we purchased and at what price. We've been preparing ourselves for this type of situation for years now, and it's time to act. There's a great book we read to learn how to do this, specifically called Unshakable by Tony Robbins, which we recommend as a mandatory read during the coronavirus quarantine. Free book right now, and if it's your first time signing up to Audible, you can get Unshakable for free as an audiobook. It's free knowledge, so go get it. Number 5. Renegotiate everything. The rich love getting better deals, and this is the perfect time to pick up the phone. Everything you can refinance gets refinanced. Businesses are so desperate to keep their important clients, they agree to terms they wouldn't have accepted normally. Just by picking up the phone and renegotiating, the rich are not only increasing their returns, but also freeing up money for everything else on the list. Everything in life is negotiable. You're just not used to negotiating that much. Number 6. Buying bankrupt companies. What if you were a large company and could purchase infrastructure, intellectual property, fully trained employees, and raw materials that you would normally pay a premium for at a fraction of the cost? Sign us up. Big companies are swimming in the market, waiting for their competitors or tangent businesses to collapse so they can pick up the scraps for cheap. Think of the airline and cruise ship industry right now. They're hemorrhaging money because nobody is flying or taking a cruise. But it doesn't mean the ships and planes aren't valuable in and of themselves. They just need to be used. The question is, will you survive long enough to make it through? Number 7. Buying real estate. Dirt cheap companies aren't the only thing that's struggling right now. We consider real estate the best possible asset anyone can own. The process is simple. Recession comes along. People are scared. Some lose their jobs, some struggle more. Nobody is splurging on anything, The economy contracts. There is little demand from the masses. Prices drop because normal people can no longer afford it. The rich come in and pick up everything of value at a fraction of the cost, although at the moment, the hardest hit is commercial real estate. Over the next 18 months, the biggest drop we'll see is in new residential developments. Developers have been building like crazy, more often than not on credit, assuming the demand will be there when the building is over. But with people unable to buy, the banks will come knocking, asking for the money they're owed. If you could buy the apartment you're living in for half the price it's worth, why wouldn't you? Number 8. More people are looking for work, which means it's cheaper to do business. Recessions are great for those who are able to keep the business going. It forces you to trim the fat of the business and to go lean. A ton of people, unfortunately, get laid off. Those who get to keep their jobs are thankful. Costs of doing business drop significantly. This creates an imbalance of power in the market. The more people looking for work, the cheaper it is to hire and the less you have to pay your employees, because there's always a bunch of people waiting in line at the door to take your spot. Number 9. Low interest rates. Because the economy is at a standstill, banks are also losing money, so they're doing their best to pick up new business. They do so by lowering interest rates. Rich people with a great track record can simply borrow money for little to even zero interest rates. This is where having done this before and having your credit score ready comes into play. As a massive competitive advantage. This allows them to refinance everything without worry. The bank will loan you money so you can take advantage of the downturn in the market just because you've proven that you're able to pay it back. In the words of Jays, you know what's more important than throwing away money at a strip club? Credit. Number 10. Insurance. You might be scratching your head at this one, but we want to share a story and a piece of insight many of you might not be aware of. Don't know how many of you are tennis fans in the audience, but most of you should know about Wimbledon, the tennis tournament. For the past 20 years, they actively paid for pandemic insurance. In total, they ended up paying around $30 million so far in insurance costs. But the payout from the coronavirus claim is in the ballpark of $140 million, making it one of the best investments anyone could have made. And they're not alone. There are many businesses out there who've been actively paying for this specific type of insurance, and we've seen a surge in demands for insuring against the next pandemic. Number 11. Move money to tax havens to store value. One of the things rich people fear the most is governments devaluing the money they worked so hard to get through inflation. Inflation comes as a result when new money is printed and floods the economy. For the past 100 years, this has been the main plague governments have taken to stabilize the economy. Just print more. Taking a look at the USA. Right now, the Fed wants to print $2.3 trillion into the economy to avoid a financial collapse. As of right now, there are only $1.75 trillion in circulation. That's actual bills in people's wallets. With all that new money coming in, there's a high chance of hyperinflation and the devaluation of the dollar. The rich are seeing this coming and are looking to safeguard their investments. They take the money offshore. They buy gold, silver, and crypto. They also diversify their currencies, purchasing less volatile ones, like the Swiss franc or Norwegian krone. Number 12. Contracts with the government. In order to boost up the economy, governments need people to work. They begin infrastructure projects and grant these contracts to businesses. The rich own most of these businesses, thus making even more money. But at least they're hiring people, and some of that money trickles down. There's nothing more recession-proof than government contracts. Number 13. Stocking up on raw materials. Most of you all probably have seen the price of oil drop like crazy in the past few days. We are eager to break it down for you. But since we're trying to keep this short, we'll save it for another day. When economies come to a standstill, such as right now, both people and businesses stop buying raw materials. Thus the price for them drops in direct proportion with demand. It doesn't mean that gas, oil, iron, and so on has lost its intrinsic value. It's just that people don't need them right now. The rich, who've been sitting on cash, purchase and store these raw materials and wait for the recession to blow over before putting them back on the market when the demand and price for them returns to normal. Number 14. They invest in businesses that thrive in a recession. The most thriving sectors of this pandemic have been e-commerce, with a focus on food and product delivery of the likes of Amazon, online entertainment of the likes of YouTube, Netflix, and so on. And don't even get us started on pharma as a whole. Because of the way they structure their portfolios through diversification, they're protecting themselves against fluctuations in the market. And some of these bets pay off big time. Every pharmaceutical company right now is rushing toward finding a cure for the coronavirus. Imagine holding stock in that company before they announced they cracked it and are ready for mass distribution. Another big point we'd like to touch upon are startups that thrive in this kind of environment. After 2008, we got Uber, Airbnb, and so many others. The rich are keeping an eye out for up-and-coming startups with the option of getting in early as an investment. Number 15, they purchase luxuries when others are forced to sell some particular art. Collectibles and premium properties rarely go on the market. But recessions are special in that sometimes they force wealthy individuals to liquidate their luxuries to patch up holes in their sinking ships. That's when the rich pick up the rare Picasso they've been eyeing for years, or that Ferrari 250 GTO that's been eluding them. Premium properties never hit the market like most of you are used to. From personal experience, we can tell you that high-end brokers and real estate agents already have a curated list of customers who are notified that said item or property might have come up for sale. And if they're interested in placing a bid? Usually, if it hits the general market, the first wave of rich individuals didn't want it. You might not be super rich, but you definitely have some ideas to come out ahead of this. How do you plan to make money during this recession? Let us know in the comments. And as a thank you for watching until the end of this video, you're getting a bonus recessions. Determine the New World Order. Now, before you start putting on your tinfoil hats, this isn't some Illuminati type of information. Instead, it has to do with macroeconomy and geopolitics. And since we made the video short for the masses, we'll do a longer one for you. The more you study economic history, the more you understand the cyclical nature of it all. We're not going to get into long-term debt cycles versus short-term. You can look that up for yourself. But basically every 50 to 100 years, there is a major shift in international hierarchy. After the Second World War, the USA came out ahead to become the #1 top dog in the world. This gives you certain financial privileges. The dollar became the international reserve currency, and once the gold standard was removed, the US basically played the money game with cheat codes, allowing itself to print as much money as it wanted and still retain its value. This is likely about to change, though, with China overtaking the #1 spot once again. Many of you might not know this, but historically, China has been the world leader for way longer than the US. The big problem is these changes don't come peacefully. It's usually war or a Great Depression that drives them, and statistically, we're toward the end of the cycle, and changes are due. The US plan has been to print money and drive growth without any regard of debt, and that's why it's currently $25 trillion in debt. The only way for this to be wiped out is through an international recalibration of power and currency, out of which the US hopes to come out ahead. The moment China overthrows the US as the #1 leading superpower, the yen becomes the reserve currency and the entire US financial system will collapse, forcing the US to retaliate with their military or accept its fate. Historically, the larger the gap between the rich and the poor, the closer you are to war in general. The first steps are usually a state of unease, losing trust in governments and a rise in populism, all of which we've seen happening around the world in the past decade. We're not smart enough to predict the future, but based on what we've been able to discern, the coronavirus pandemic isn't the biggest to happen in our lifetime. And something bigger is yet to come. No matter what happens, we hope all of you will find your spot and thrive in the upcoming world. If you've made it to this point, please write NWO in the comments. Most people will have no idea what it stands for, but we'll know that you watched until the end, so thank you. Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos which we recommend you watch next. We'll see you back tomorrow.